Can't hear you, Prabhu. And I have a question. I got a little pop-up that says this is being sent to a third party. Does anybody know what that means?
Bible, can you hear me now?
Yes. Did you hear my question?
Something about a pop-up sending to a third
Yeah, it
party?
said that that this is being sent to a third party unless, oh, you were made, okay, so you were made co-host, so the recording is going to you also. Never mind.
I don't know. I
Yeah, because you're
oh yeah,
you're a
I'm
co-host, you'll
I
receive a recording.
I see that co-host. Yeah, I don't see. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Krishna. So the Wi-Fi is a little wonky over there.
Has been.
Oh,
Seems to be okay right now.
well, that's a relief.
But I'm going to only be recording, not participating today.
Okay.
And the live stream is set up already.
Okay, I think we're on text 51 of the 26th chapter, the third canto. How's your Wi-Fi connection, Akendra Prabhu? Haribo Guru Maharaj. Welcome everyone to another Srimad Bhagavatam class, third canto, chapter 26. I think we're beginning with text 51. in the company of His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami and all. Hare Krishna. So Charadev Prabhu, would you like to lead the opening kirtan?
Yes, Gauri, just please, just a second.
Sure.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotara Shadashrishamad AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotara Shadashrishamad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai Amacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se kahiye Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund ki Jai Giri Govardhan ki Jai Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Jai नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय, श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, तुलसी महारानी की जय, संवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Suchara Dev Prabhu. We begin with Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 26th chapter, 51st verse, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. I'll read the Roman transliteration, translation, and purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tatastenanuvidebhyo yuktebhyondam achetanam utitam purusho yasmad udatishtad asavirat. From these 7 principles, roused into activity and united by the presence of the Lord, an unintelligent egg arose, from which appeared the celebrated cosmic being. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In sex life, the combination of matter from the parents, which involves emulsification and secretion, creates the situation whereby a soul is received within matter. And the combination of matter gradually develops into a complete body. The same principle exists in the universal creation. The ingredients were present, but only when the Lord entered into the material elements was matter actually agitated. That is the cause of creation. We can see this in our ordinary experience. Although we may have clay, water, and fire, the elements take the shape of a brick only when we labor to combine them. Without the living energy, there is no possibility that matter can take shape. Similarly, this material world does not develop unless agitated by the Supreme Lord as the Virat Purusha. Yasmad udatishtad asal virat. By his agitation, space was created, and the universal form of the Lord also manifested therein. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. From these 7 principles roused into activity and united by the presence of the Lord, an unintelligent egg arose from which appeared the celebrated cosmic being. So first Prabhupada mentions combination of matter from the parents, as an example, in sex life, involving emulsification and secretion. A situation is created by which the soul is received within matter. The living entity becomes, and then the soul comes to reside in the material body as an embodied living being, living entity. Combination of matter develops into a complete body. Some time back, some years ago, it was a thing for people to be publishing pictures of the development of the embryo within the womb in its various stages. And actually, as far as even material science goes, there wasn't much known about that development until the 1930s in terms of the various finite details of the stages of the development of the tiny body, the living entity within the womb. The human being develops in the womb from just a few cells, and they clump, and then they multiply again, and then they multiply again, and this multiplication goes on. And as that multiplication goes on, there's this very intricate dance of systems. A primordial circulatory system develops, and lungs, and the first vestiges of arms and legs, and then the more detailed toes and fingers and so forth. It's all developed in remarkably orchestrated steps. And yet, the material scientists are inclined to think that this is just a product of evolution. Evolution means to evolve. Even if you were going to take it that way, something evolving implies a system, a design, a process that's been put into place. Just like when this house was built, there was a whole design behind it, this house that I'm sitting in. There were procedures in place that were known to the various sections of laborers that were called in to perform their tasks one after another. And one system, one process couldn't take place before another process had been established. Everything's developed in this linear fashion, in a progressive fashion. It's not a chaos. It's not a system of chaotic combinations or accidental manifestations. It's very detailed, actually to the point of precision. So the same thing happens in this material creation. There's precision going on. We've been hearing about how the senses and the prerequisites for what is ultimately to come in terms of a full-blown material creation, how these things are all established, where they come from, how one proceeds from another in a very, very organized system. So we're continuing in that description of that organized system. And here, Prabhupada's giving a few examples. Without the living energy, there is no possibility that matter can take shape. So whether that matter taking shape as a house, or that matter taking shape as another human body, or whether it's that matter taking shape as the universal creation, the living energy has to be there. And in this case, we're hearing how the Supreme Lord, his presence as the Virat Rupa, makes it possible for the material world to develop. Virat Purusha. Yasmat Udatishta Dasal Virat. By his agitation, space was created, and the universal form of the Lord also manifested therein. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions? Okay, I think we'll move to text 52. Who would like to read? Suchara Dev, would you like to read the next verse? Text 52?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Before you start, Mara says, nothing happens again until the personality of Godhead agitates things. You know, we were hearing before how the personality of Godhead was making things happen, and here it's going on again at this critical point in this sequence of events. I have a question. Let's see if I actually have the book here. So, why is that egg described as unintelligent? It might sound kind of like a dumb question. What egg is actually intelligent? But it's interesting that it's mentioned here, an unintelligent egg. See if there's something in the word for word. Achetanam. Undam achetanam. Undam means egg. Achetanam means unintelligent. Or maybe is that, not having consciousness. Yeah. Cheta means conscious, aware. Achetanam. Unintelligent egg, an unaware egg. Unconscious. Priyanka asks, is cosmic being mentioned in the verse, the universal form of the Lord? Oh, Maharaj, in response to my comment, says, yes, not foolish, the egg, that is, but lacking consciousness. Priyanka asks, is cosmic being cosmic being, mentioned in the verse, the universal form of the Lord. It appears to be so, at least it's mentioned in the purport. This Virat Rupa is agitating the material elements here in this, now in the form of an unconscious egg. He enters. Maharaj says yes to Priyanka's question.
And
Maharaj quotes from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport for this verse. Being penetrated by his entrance, the elements became agitated and immediately combined to form an egg. From that, the universal form composed of the mass of jivas, Hiranyagarbha, arose, as if waking up from sleep and coming back to life. That's from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on this verse. So here we hear from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that by the Lord's entrance, the elements became agitated and immediately combined to form an egg. Not that the egg was just sitting there and the Lord entered. It's the Lord's entrance that makes all this possible. Go ahead, Suchara Dev. Would you like to read the next verse?
we hear the term, Proji. I was just thinking Tad Ekshataha, that the Lord glanced at the material world and the material world become agitated. So the Lord himself entered, as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, or the Mahavishnu glanced at material world and material world become agitated.
Well, here it's being said that he enters as the Virat Purusha. Earlier we were hearing how he is entered as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Right?
And again, the form of Virat Purusha is, we know, an allegorical form. It doesn't exist in reality. It is an allegorical form given to understand the structure of the universe and see its relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes, I agree, but the Lord is actually present in the sense that he's come a verse or two before actually the previous verse as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. After stating the generation of the causes, Kapila Dev speaks about the generation of the effects. At that time, when the causes were unmixed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his feature of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu enters within each universe. Accompanying him were all of the 7 primary elements, and it goes on like that. And then this 51st verse is actually a continuation, in one sense, of text 50, that verse that I was just quoting. From these 7 principles, roused into activity and united by the presence of the Lord, an unintelligent egg arose from which appeared the celebrated cosmic being. I believe the cosmic being here is the Virat Purusha. And it can be taken as allegorical, although the fact of the matter is the Lord is present already within the universe as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. This is, in one sense, a manifestation of the Lord, Virat Purusha. Is that all right, Guru Maharaj?
And that cosmic being, I was for all this time thinking that the cosmic being is Brahma who appeared from the egg. It is Virat Purush, the cosmic being being talked about here. Celebrated cosmic being from that egg.
That's what's indicated here. There's no mention at this point of Lord Brahma.
Okay.
Actually goes on to describe in the next verse we'll read. In fact, could you be so kind as to read that next verse, Suchara Dev?
Yes.
Thank you.
Etadandam visheshakhyam kram vridhir dashottarhe तोयादिभिः परिवृत्तं प्रधाने नेनावृतेर्बहि यत्र लोकावितानोऽयं रूपं भागवतो हरिः. The universal egg, or the egg in the shape or the universe in the shape of an egg, is called the manifestation of material energy. Its layers of water, air, fire, sky, ego, and Mahatattva increase in thickness one after another. Each layer is 10 times bigger than the previous one, and the final outside layer is covered by Pradhana. Within this egg is the universal form of Lord Hari, of whose body the 14 planetary systems are parts. This universe, or the universal sky, which we can visualize with its innumerable planets, is shaped just like an egg. As an egg is covered by a shell, the universe is also covered by various layers. The first layer is water, and the next is fire. Then air, then sky, and the ultimate holding crust is Pradhan. Within this egg-like universal form is the universe is the universal form of Lord as the Virat Purush. All the different planetary systems are parts of his body. This is already explained in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto. The planetary systems are considered to form different bodily parts of that universal form of the Lord. Persons who cannot directly engage in the worship of the transcendental form of the Lord are advised to think of and worship this universal form. Universal form. The lowest planetary system, Patal, is considered to be the soul of the Supreme Lord, and the earth is considered to be the belly of the Lord. Brahmalok, or the highest planetary system where Brahma lives, is considered to be the head of the Lord. The Virat Purush is considered an incarnation of the Lord. The original form of the Lord is Krishna, as confirmed in Brahma Samhita Adi Purush. The Virat Purush is also Purush, but he is not Adi Purush. Adi Purush is Krishna, Ishvara, Parama Krishna, Sachidanand Vigraha, and Adi Radha Govinda. In Bhagavad Gita,
Suchara
Krishna is
Dev,
also
could you slow down just a little bit? This is some heavy going here, this reading. Take a little time as you read.
okay. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is also accepted as the Adi Purush, the original. Krishna says, "No one is greater than me." There are innumerable expansions of the Lord, and all of them are Purushas or enjoyers. But neither the Virat Purusha nor the Purusha avatars, the Karuna Dakshai Vishnu, Garbho Dakshai Vishnu, and Shiru Dakshai Vishnu, nor any of the many other expansions is the original. In each universe, there are Garbho Dakshai Vishnu, the Virat Purush, and Shiru Dakshai Vishnu. The active manifestation of Virat Purush is described here. Persons who are in the lower grade of understanding regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead may think of the universal form of the Lord, for that is advised in the Bhagavatam. The dimensions of the universe are estimated here. The outer covering is made of layers of water, air, fire, sky, ego, and Mahatattva, and each layer is 10 times greater than the one previous. The space within the hollow of the universe cannot be measured by any human scientist or anyone else. And beyond the hollow, there are 7 coverings, each one 10 times greater than the one preceding it. The layer of water is 10 times greater than the diameter of the universe, and the layer of fire is 10 times greater than that of water. Similarly, the layer of air is 10 times greater than that of fire. These dimensions are all inconceivable to the tiny brain of a human being. It is also stated that this description is of only one egg-like universe. There are innumerable universes besides this one, and some of them are many, many times greater. It is considered, in fact, that this universe is the smallest. Therefore, the predominating superintendent or Brahma has only 4 heads for management. In other universes, which are far greater than this one, Brahma has more heads. In the Caitanya-caritamrta, it is stated that all these Brahmas were called one day by Lord Krishna on inquiry of the small Brahma, who, after seeing all the larger Brahmas, was thunderstruck. That is the inconceivable potency of the Lord. No one can measure the length and breadth of God by speculation or by false identification with God. These attempts are simply of lunacy.
Some comment on what you've read?
Yes, now I can visualize what the previous verse was talking about. Because we see in the Goloka chart that the universe is in the shape of an egg, Brahmanda, and how inside it is hollow with the Lord lying down on Shesh, Ananta Shesh, and then there are layers, earth, water, fire, as it is described. And the outermost layer is ego and then Mahatattva. The ego being the thickest layer that we have read already in Bhagavatam before. And that egg can be understood as Virat Purusha with the 14 planetary systems as different limbs of that Virat Purush. And then, of course, Shiradakshay Vishnu and Garbhodakshay Vishnu, both as one lying down in the ocean, and from whose navel Brahma appears, who does creation in that particular egg, and also other form which enters into a heart or every atom of that universe. So that's how the structure of one Brahmanda has been explained in this verse in absolute detail by Srila Prabhupada. Now, this is little understandable.
Thank you, Suchara Dev Prabhu, and your comments made it even more understandable. Thank you very much. Anyone else have a comment or a question? Innumerable universes, of which this is a relatively small one. Maharaj says, Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, from the Brahma Samhita. Let's see. Dana, would you like to read the next verse?
Sure. 53. Kiran Mayad Anada Koshad Utaya Salile Shayat Tam Avishya Mahadevo Bahuda Nirbidheda Kam. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Virat Purusha, situated himself in that golden egg, which was lying on the water, and he divided it into many departments.
There's no purport. You have any comment on that? It's quite an extraordinary verse, isn't it?
I know, right? That's what I was thinking. I find all of these just so beautiful, right? Any thoughts that you have?
Yeah, well, that we're getting this explanation of organization. The Lord is seeing to it that everything is put in its proper place. He's dividing the contents of that golden egg into different departments. The golden egg is lying on water. And so everything is being tended to for the purpose of the coming visarga, the secondary creation. The scene is being set, if you will. Krishna Konteya Prabhu, would you like to read the next verse? I can help by reading the Sanskrit if you like, because I know you like to read the English in particular. Would that be all right?
There's things in the chat box.
Oh, thank you. What do we have? Mother Priyanka says, analogy of a crust of Pradhan. So outside Pradhan, we have spiritual world or more material universes. Mara says, yes. Spiritual world. And material universes bunched together. Maharaj continues. So spiritual world and material universes bunched together. There's some place in Shastra where it's described that, this is there's a Tripad Vibhuti, which is the spiritual, the all expansive Vaikuntha, spiritual sky and planets and so forth. And then there's this insignificant cloudy place, which is the material, this little insignificant corner, which is the material creation. Maharaj says, going beyond all the material universes, one reaches the spiritual world. So you have to exit this material creation. And there's, of course, a process to do that. Is that all right, Priyanka? So Krishna Kante, would you like to read the next verse? It's text 54. I can read the Sanskrit for you if you like. Is your sound working? You'll have to bring it a little closer. You got it? No, not well enough yet.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. All right, I'll read the Sanskrit and you can read the verse, okay?
All right.
Text 54. Niravidyatasya pratamam mukam vani tato bhavat vanya vanir ato nase pranoto grana etayoho.
First of all, a mouth appears in him, and then came forth the organ of speech, and with the god of fire, the deity who presides over that organ, then a pair of nostrils appear, and in them appears the olfactory senses, as well as pranam and
Prana. Prana, yeah. Go ahead, Prabhu. No, you've dropped off again. No, it needs to be louder.
Okay.
That's better.
Okay. With the manifestation of speech, fire also became manifested, and with the manifestation of nostrils, the vital air, the breathing process, and the sense of smell also came manifested.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any comment? So we have a continuation here. Lord is dividing the golden egg into various departments. And then this is, I believe, Maharaj can confirm if I'm correct. There's a manifestation of various aspects of the Virat Purusha. First of all, a mouth appeared in him, the Virat Purusha, and then came forth the organ of speech, and with it the god of fire, the deity who presides over that organ, and so forth. So we're getting these, again, these further manifestations to continue the process of creation of the universe. Can't hear you, Krishna Kanteya Prabhu.
Can't hear me?
Now I can hear you, but you have to keep that mic close, I think.
Okay. The manifestation of speech, also fire became from that, became manifested. How is speech manifesting fire?
It says, first of all, a mouth appeared in him, then came forth the organ of speech, and with it, the god of fire, the deity who presides over that organ. So, as I understand it, the Agni Dev, or god of fire, he's the deity, the predominant deity of the organ of speech. That connection is there. So again, it's a manifestation of the Virat Purusha and the concomitant elements or items that are associated with it. The first thing appears as the mouth, then the organ of speech, with it the god of fire, the deity who presides over that organ. It's an interesting connection. One would wonder why the god of fire would have a connection with speech, but there it is.
Is this the manifestation? I mean, we know that this is Krishna's manifestation of the cosmic manifestation, but is there any relationship in this description of the human development?
I believe so, since the deity presides over that organ. The organ of speech is the god of fire. So that's the demigod that presides over the speech of all living beings. So yeah, there's a connection down the line. And it's also interesting to note that when some offering is made to the fire god Agni, it's offered into the fire, and the offering is consumed in that way, right? Even when we perform fire yajnas, various offerings are made into the fire.
Is the fire considered the mouth of the offering?
Well, I don't know all of the particulars of fire yajnas, but I know that that's the process. And of course, that's ultimately a feature, an opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we're making an offering to the Lord, employing the element of fire, and the fire god here is the deity who presides over speech, the organ of speech, the mouth. Is that all right, Maharaj? Priyanka, see, Mara says, seems okay to me. Priyanka says, Bhagavad Gita 11:19, fire coming from universal form's mouth. Can there be a relation? Mara says, there can be. But the context, in other words, the context here in this verse seems different. Yeah. Saraswati asks, when is Brahma created in this sequence? That's a good question. I think we'd have to go ahead on that. Haribol, Bhakta Doug Prabhu. So Doug, we're in third canto, 26th chapter, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, 326. Third canto, 26th chapter. Yeah, and we're at text 55.
I actually raised my hand about a short little point that
Go ahead.
kind of, I think it's on topic, but we were asking if any of these sort of developmental stages are similar to that which humans experience. And I'm no expert on this. I just happened to be discussing with someone today about this sequential awakening of senses in the womb with a child. That it's not quite the same sequence as far as we understand now. I think it starts tactile and then maybe smell and then hearing, but sight comes last. It's kind of, it's not all at once. The senses develop over time in the womb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
We're go ahead.
I was going to say the other thing that I was going to mention earlier that has stuck out to me most in this conversation is that line about the incomprehensibility of the universe stated very clearly. So we can, sometimes we often think we're taking things literally as it's said, but that's just from our own point of view, our own ability to grasp what we can. And the definition of universe has changed drastically over the last 100 years, and I suspect it will keep evolving. So when we talk about universe or universes, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye, even for so-called literalists, I would say.
Yeah, it's true. Even as we read these descriptions in Bhagavatam, we realize that there's a lot more than meets the eye. And good luck to you and your team at the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium trying to explain Vedic cosmology to the masses when we're struggling to explain it to ourselves. What an exciting journey, huh?
Well, that's exciting because you can frame it that way, that it's still a living thing to be discovered and learned about. There's no one answer. You can always look into. It's always expanding. Unless we figure it out tonight.
Well, it's like you said, there's a degree of understanding we can enter into, just like with the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can capture some idea of sequences and the manifestations from subtle to gross. And here we have a nice description of when the Lord enters the universe, if you will, as Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and a golden egg develops. Prabhupada talks in the previous purport about emulsification and secretion and what happens in normal, development of the embryo in the womb, the child, and so forth. So here we have this step-by-step process to help us try to comprehend this overarching scene, amazing scene. It's on a scale that we can hardly comprehend to begin with, just like here what was Prabhupada saying. Yeah, in a previous verse, the space within the hollow of the universe cannot be measured by any human scientist or anyone else. And beyond the hollow, there are 7 coverings, each one 10 times greater than the one preceding it. So we get these definitions and to get these descriptions. It's up to us to appeal to Krishna for his mercy to understand them more deeply. In response to Saraswati's question, when is Brahma created in this sequence? Maharaj says, down the line, here the sequence of features manifest seems to correspond to the sequence of elements. Oh, the last comment, here the sequence of features manifest seems to correspond to the sequence of elements. That last comment of Maharaj's was directed to you, Doug.
Yeah, thank you.
Mari Gupta comments, interesting point is that sacrifices are often made into fire. Yes, we were mentioning. And of all sacrifices, Krishna is japa, which is spoken, and Agni is connected to both. Nice point, Mari Gupta. Yeah, the demigods they're part of the Lord's universal administration. They have important services. We can be a little grateful to the god of fire for enabling us with the power of speech so that we can chant japa. But he's acting at the behest or under the direction ultimately of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you've got creation and then you've got administration. Or how's it said? Brahma is in charge of creation, at least the secondary creation. Lord Vishnu is in charge of maintenance. And Lord Shiva, he takes control of the destruction of the universe. But of all those three, the difficult part is maintenance. There's a whole complex administration going on and on and on. Okay, Saraswati asks, no duration of how long each stage takes to create a universe? Saraswati, would you like to turn on your microphone and expand on that question?
Oh, sorry, I meant like time-wise.
Oh, Maharaj responds, not that he knows of. These are just...
Because the Bible says, what, 7 days?
Right. I think, with the deepest respect to the biblical description, that the 7 days serves there mostly to give an idea of the sequence of events according to their framework, maybe not necessarily a timeline, and who knows what those days are. So, but yeah, it's not described here. It's just this sequence of events. Manifestation of the elements. Okay, I think we have time for another verse. Who can read text 55? Doug, would you like to read text 55? Or would Shar like to? I see the camera has turned. You have to unmute the mic. Okay.
Sorry, what chapter?
It's chapter 26, text 55.
Oh. Wrong book. Second.
You can look real scholarly holding a book until it's realized you got the wrong one, right?
All right. Text 55. Grihanadavayur abhidyetam akshani chakshur etayo hasmat suryo nyabhidyetam karnau shrotram tato disha. In the wake of the olfactory sense came the wind god, who presides over that sense. Thereafter, a pair of eyes appeared in the universal form, and in them the sense of sight. In the wake of this sense came the sun god, who presides over it. Next, there appeared in him a pair of ears, and in them the auditory sense, and in its wake the Devatas, or the deities who preside over the directions. Purport. The appearance of different bodily parts of the Lord's universal form and the appearance of the presiding deities of those bodily parts is being described. As in the womb of a mother, a child gradually grows different bodily parts, so in the universal womb, the universal form of the Lord gives rise to the creation of various paraphernalia. The senses appear, and over each of them there is a presiding deity. It is corroborated by this statement of Srimad Bhagavatam and also by Brahma Samhita that the sun appeared after the appearance of the eyes of the universal form of the Lord. The sun is dependent on the eyes of the universal form. The Brahma Samhita also says that the sun is the eye of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Yat chakshur esha savita. Savita means the sun. The sun is the eye of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, everything is created by the universal body of the Supreme Godhead. Material nature is simply the supplier of materials. The creation is actually done by the Supreme Lord, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Maya dyakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam. Under my direction does material nature create all moving and non-moving objects in the cosmic creation.
Comments?
No. It's
that,
hard.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's hard for my mind to comprehend these things.
Do you remember that verse still from when you were in Lakshmani's ashram? Yach chakshuresha savita sakala grahanam. Remember that verse? Brahma Samhita?
Yeah, I do, but I don't know if I can pull it out of my head right now.
That reference is here.
Yeah.
Yach chakshuresha savita sakala grahanam. Raja samasta suramurtara seshateja. The only reason I can recite it is because I recite it every day. Yach chakshuresha savita sakala grahanam raja samasta suramurtira seshateja yas yagyaya brahmati sangrata kala chakro govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The sun, who is the king of all the planets, full of infinite effulgence, the image of the good soul, is as the eye of this world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs his journey mounting the wheel of time. Well, there's a mystical picture. The sun is moving. Material science confirms that the sun is moving. It's also got its orbit, if you will, and it's moving at vast rate of speed. And everything is set up by the Supreme Lord. That enormous body of solar energy is manifesting the deity of that sun is manifesting here. The olfactory sense, of course, refers to the nose, right? The sense of smell. And the wind god presides over that. Then you have eyes that the sun god presides over. In the wake of the manifestation of the eyes from the Virat Purusha, the sun god comes, presides over that. And then within him, this him being the Virat Purusha, the capital H, a pair of ears, and in them the auditory sense and its wake, the auditory hearing, the Digdevatas. Somehow the Digdevatas, the deities preside over the directions, are manifesting from this auditory sense, and there they preside over the directions. I think they would be presiding over the ears, but perhaps the connection, now you're hearing a perhaps, so now you know I'm speculating, comes from the fact that sound can come from all directions. And I'll stop with my speculation there. As in the womb of a mother, a child gradually grows different bodily parts, so in the universal womb, the universal form of the Lord gives rise to the creation of various paraphernalia. Now there's a nice analogy. We were talking about that a little earlier in this class, how the body is developing, the different senses are gradually becoming manifest. You also made some reference to it, Doug. And then, then eventually you have this fully manifested child, and then the child comes into the world. So there's this development over a period of time. Time is already entered. We've read about that earlier. So all of this happening, time and space. Earlier, Prabhupada mentions that space is an essential feature, otherwise none of this can take place. And of course, agitating by the time factor. You have to have these things happening in sequence. Time has to be manifest. Maharaj writes, the senses are dependent. They don't work unless the higher authorities in the universe provide the necessary framework. The nose does not work unless the air carries sense to it. Anything else? Any comments? We're getting close. Oh, here. The eye cannot see without light. Yeah, anybody who's been in a cave where they do that little trick of introducing you to absolute darkness by turning off the lights has a direct and somewhat claustrophobic experience of that. Absolute darkness, where our sense of sight is completely dependent on light.
Murari Prabhu says, it's so nice to read these descriptions where amazing personalities are involved in every stage, unlike modern science, which is so drab and impersonal by comparison.
Yeah, that's a nice point, Maragupta Prabhu. Everything is personal. It's kind of quite the opposite. I mean, it's understandable that science, through sense perception, is seeing, is making its observations based upon those very senses which are being described here as becoming gradually manifest through the universal form. But it's understandable that within empiric, the jurisdiction of empiric observation, one can only see so far. That's one of any number of reasons why we have to take knowledge from higher authorities, because we can't see beyond our limited senses into the actual, even in terms of the actual constitution of the universe, what to speak of its genesis. We can't perceive it. So that kind of knowledge, even within the confines of material creation, has to come from a higher authority in order to have any real comprehension of it. All right, I think we've gone over time. Who would like to lead the closing kirtan? Of course, it's a Zoom kirtan, so we can chant on our ends in response. someday we'll get this all together. You know, it'll become such a broadband perfection that we'll all be able to chant together. But right now, somebody's got to lead it, feeling as though it's by themselves.
Hare Krishna,
All right, Jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Brahmasa Parivraj Jagacharya Stotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Brahmasa Parivraj Jagacharya Astotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Vrindavan Dhamma Ki Jai, Sri Mathura Dhamma Ki Jai, Sri Navadvip Dhamma Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, all glories Samveda Bhakti Vrinda ki jai, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Shri Guru and Garanga Shil Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Das Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone, for attending and participating in this class this evening, especially Mother Meena, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow for Sri Caitanya-caritamrta class as we continue the ecstatic 7th chapter of the Adi Lila. Caitanya-caritamrta. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Dana. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Jai. Thank you, Maharaj.